Yes, as many of you know, I come from a Catholic background. And so not only a Catholic background, but a German Catholic background. And so we didn't actually celebrate Christmas. Christmas did not come to our house until the 24th of December. And for the month of December, what we celebrated up until that point was we'd celebrated Advent. And so Advent and the Sundays, I guess that's one of the reasons why I love these rituals so much. The ritual of Advent, of every Sunday moving toward the Christmas celebration, really spoke a great deal to me in my family and in my family experience. Advent is a word that we use when we talk about the arrival of a notable person, thing, or event, the emergence, the materialization, or the dawn of something new. So we will say in the advent of a new age, or the advent of a new technology, or the advent of something new in our lives. And when we know that this new thing is coming, well, we're waiting for it, aren't we? And in that waiting, we can be a little patient, a little impatient, and a little grumpy. Certainly we see that in the lines as we are waiting to purchase our presents. But we can also be impatient and grumpy as we are waiting for the light to dawn, for consciousness to shift, and for something new to emerge in humanity as we are confronted with times such as these. And so our waiting in Advent, when we turn it into the Advent season, our waiting becomes a spiritual practice. It is an opportunity for us to wait for that good in perhaps a different way. And so we light the first candle of Advent, and it is the candle of hope. And that informs the quality of our waiting. We wait hopefully. We wait not with despair, not with sadness, not with the thought of this is never going to change or is anything ever going to be different. But we wait actually in hope. It is the waiting that we hope to see that light in our lifetime, and if not in our lifetime, then in our children's lifetime. And when we wait with hope, do you see, we turn our waiting into anticipation. We are anticipating something. And I certainly remember as these Sundays would build on each other, how much I would anticipate the presents under the Christmas tree and the whole ritual of Christmas Eve. And that anticipation teaches us to look forward to things. And yet how often are we afraid to look forward to something, to anticipate our good, to anticipate consciousness shifting or the light rising, because we're afraid to be disappointed? Yeah. Especially in our instant gratification society, we've forgotten the quality of anticipation and the experience of really looking forward to something. Ernest Holmes says a joyful anticipation is a quiet expectation. And so we light our second candle. It's the candle of love. And it is in anticipation of the love that we share. We love the love that we share with each other, with family members, with friends, when we celebrate whichever one of our holiday traditions you particularly celebrate. We anticipate the sharing of that love. And that anticipation turns into an expectation. We actually expect it to be something worthwhile, something loving, something joyful, something special. Thomas Troward calls this cheerful expectancy a spiritual practice, which is critical if we are to demonstrate answered prayer. Can we not only hope for peace on earth and eagerly anticipate the shift of consciousness and move into that place of expectation that there are more and more people on the planet lighting lights for peace and truth and love, that we eagerly anticipate and expect the good. Ernest Holmes says expectancy speeds progress. Therefore, live in a continual state of expectancy. He goes on to say, no matter how much good you are experiencing today, expect greater good tomorrow. Yeah, not just settling, but allowing it to continue to unfold. And this leads us immediately to our beautiful pink candle, our third candle of Advent, which is the candle of joy. Because when we live in that expectation, do you see we're already living an answered prayer, even though it hasn't shown up yet? And that is the place of joy. Joy is the place of answered prayer. And the candle is pink in specific to remind us that our deepest prayer is our yearning for the divine. Our deepest prayer is our yearning for our experience of oneness and to know who we are. And it is the pink candle of joy because we can expect to experience that. Do you see? We don't just have to wait for it or hope for it or anticipate it. We can actually move into expectation. And it is that expectation that opens the door to answered prayer. And since we know the prayer is answered, even if it hasn't been answered in this moment, then the entire Advent season is about preparing for it to come about, preparing for peace on earth, preparing for the shift in consciousness, preparing for the light to dawn within our own hearts, within our own consciousness, and within the consciousness of the whole. Ernest Holmes says, prepare your mind to receive the best that life has to offer. Hold your thoughts steadfast in the realization that God withholds nothing from you. Therefore, prepare yourself for a life of joy, love, happiness, and well-being. Believe in the divine freedom which is yours by birthright. And of course, we know that that's not just about each one of us individually. That is about each and every human being and all beings everywhere. And so when we have prepared and we know that this is the case, we light our final candle, and this is the candle of peace. That peace which passes understanding. That peace which allows us to prepare for the light, prepare for the lifting and shifting of consciousness, prepare for this to unfold regardless of the circumstances. Peace that passes understanding is that peace that we have, that deep and abiding knowing and trust and faith that we have, even if we don't see it yet. This is a season, Advent, not an individual event that we do one time. Advent is a season, and may we all enjoy the gifts that this season brings to each one of us. And it is in this season that the Christ comes home to each of us, the home that is within our hearts and our minds.
Colors of the rainbow, all the voices of the wind, every dream that reaches out to find where love begins, every word of every story, every star in every sky, every corner of creation lives to testify. For as long as I shall live, I will testify to love. I'll be a witness in the silences when words are not enough. With every breath I take, I give thanks to God above. For as long as I shall live, I will testify to love. From the mountains to the valley, from the rivers to the sea, every hand that reaches out, every hand that reaches out to offer peace, every simple act of mercy, every step to kingdom come, all the hope in every heart will speak what love has done. For as long as I shall live, I'll testify to love. I'll be a witness in the silences when words are not enough. With every breath I take, I give thanks to God above. For as long as I shall live, I will testify to love. Testify, testify, testify. For as long as I shall live, I'll testify to love. I'll be a witness in the silences when words are not enough. With every breath I take, I give thanks to God above. For as long as I shall live, I give thanks. For as long as I shall live, I will testify to love. Be a witness in the silences when words are not. With every breath I take, I give thanks to God above. For as long as I shall live, I can testify to love.
Thank you, Bach. What I really appreciate and thank Bach so much is our own Shannon Kearns was planned to do that solo. She'd been practicing and her voice went out, and he learned this in less than 12 hours. So he did a great job. Thank you, Bach. Yeah, the light of love, testify to love. So I want you to go on a journey with me. It's a story. Maybe it's a story you know. Maybe it's a story you actually haven't looked into based upon your childhood and your own cultural heritage or whatever. Perhaps this is a new twist on an old story. But thousands of years ago, there was a promise and a hope that there would be one who would come, one who would show the way, one who would testify to love, one who would give a light in the darkness, who would be inseparable from the source of its being, from the Creator, from God, and by their very being would express the truth of human experience and what we're really here to be about. The truth of human existence, what we're here to do. It has been foretold from times of old that there would be a child born who by their very nature would bring love to this world and love to all whom they encountered. The world yearned for their coming, the birth of a child, the fulfilled promise. For indeed it was to come to pass that a child was to be born. A holy child, a child filled with knowing, a child filled with love and understanding, one worthy to inherit the Creator's kingdom on this earth. One whom by their very nature would bring peace. One whom by their very being would bring love, and by their very existence would bring understanding of who they truly are and what they truly are. The world and indeed the heavens yearn for the birth of this child, the Christ child, For the universe would not be complete, nor would the world ever be the same. Imagine this. So it came to pass in the perfection of fulfillment of time that this child was brought forth into the world. For unto us a child is born. At Christmas, we celebrate one of the most profound and far-reaching examples we have of this incarnation, this child being born and becoming the Christ. In this story, the child was announced by the angels of heaven to fulfill the promise that had come, for God had become humanity. A new star appeared in the heavens, for a great soul had been born into this world. And as you might have guessed, this great soul was Jesus, who, without arrogance and free from egotism, believed in the divine incarnation in himself and in every single person that he came in contact with. He believed in the self-knowingness of God, acted as the intuition at the center of his own consciousness. Now, here's the thing. Had Jesus believed this merely as a theory, his life would have never fired the imagination of all mankind. We would not be speaking about this child who became to know himself, right? It was because he demonstrated what he believed that we celebrate his birth, revere his memory, and set his life before us as the standard, or at least one of them, for all of humanity. The divine nature was thus revealed through him as love, compassion, givingness, and forgiveness. Now, we can imagine him so blending his human nature with the divine that gradually the human, with its sense of separation and isolation, was completely surrendered to the divine and to a sense of universality and inclusion. I just want you to feel that universality and inclusion. Here's the thing. Jesus was the great example, but he was nowhere close to being the great exception. He's not the exception. Everything he taught and everything he did was to provide a lesson for all time that one person with God, dare I say, one person as God, was the majority. And Jesus was the great lover of people. What I appreciate about his becoming into himself was that he was the embodiment of divine love on earth. He was the one who revealed that at the heart of the eternal, everyone is embraced. If you look at his teachings, this included the poor, the mourning, the meek, the hungry, the merciful, the peacemaker, and the persecuted. In fact, his life was of inclusion and preference for the marginalized. He sat next to, he embraced, he welcomed the marginalized in his time, albeit the prostitute to the leper to whatever it was, all the people that most people marginalized, he embraced and he lifted up. So, as we think back to this time when Jesus was born and how, in humble recognition to his supreme good in the universe, let us remember that unless the child of love is born in us or reborn in us, we have lost the entire meaning of the significance of this story that has been told for thousands and thousands of years. If we look at Jesus, we note that he was born of humble parentage. His parents were humble. They were poor. They was carpenter, right? Thus, he shows us that it does not matter what our own background is. It's of absolutely no importance. However, all that matters is what we do with what we are. We're all children of God. We all live in this one spirit, and it is closer to us than our very breath. It is the pulse, it is the pulsation, it is the divine spark of life itself, and it's running as each of us. So this heartbeat of the universe is at the center of our every living soul, no exceptions. And the angels of God wait patiently for each of us to recognize that and to get it. You see, for generations, the world have looked forward to the coming of the Messiah, the birth of the Christ child. And as we continue to be inspired by this story, we notice that there are two significant players in this story who, we are told, come to adore this newborn babe, and that's the wise men and the shepherds. Well, the wise men represent the necessity of intellect, the wisdom. And the shepherds represent intuition, feeling, and love. And so what this shows us is that life is actually a combination of know-how and know what. Wonder what that is. The know-how is our attempt to uncover the secrets of nature and unpack the power stored at the center of everything. And actually, we've done quite well, haven't we, with the know-how? We have learned the secrets of nature, this dynamic power. We've unleashed them at times, like the atomic bomb. We have advanced our technological knowledge, and we sometimes have this power that is unstrained by reason. So we got the know-how down, don't you think? We got that pretty well. But humanity now needs to be born into know what. And to know what we are is divine love. Divine love is at the center of every one of us. It is at the center of our being. And it's all the calm, continuous pulsations of life, and it's all governed by love. Divine love is the greatest healing and greatest healing and drawing power on earth, Ernest Holmes tells us. It's the very reason for our being. No one can swing out into the universal without divine love. For the whole universe is based on it. So we stay in the individualized until we capture and know what we are. Not capture, but know what we are, and that is divine love. And in so doing, in so getting that, we actually swing into the universal. That's what this example of the Christ child brought us. He swung into the universal, embraced every single person. No exceptions. This love knows no separation. It knows no other. And it embraces and lives, as we say, in the oneness of life. It's a beautiful story to look at this child. So in this particular Christmas season, I trust that we shall have the courage to face the issues of our time with divine love. We shall have the moral stamina and spiritual conviction to face them fairly and squarely. That out of our long night of darkness a new dawn may break, and that this Christ child is born unto us. It's like a calling of the voices of the great shepherd to be heard throughout the world as we know what we are. Ernest Holmes tells us that only in universal love is there universal security. Nothing else will get us there, but universal love will. So may our Christmas trees this year be lighted with that love. May we come to understand that there is one God, one shepherd, and that we are this Christ child, the babe in the manger, and it is born in our very own consciousness. So, this is where the story actually begins. The Christ child is born within us. We must find him or her and recognize its presence at the very center of our own being. For it's not enough at this Christmas season for us to think only of this historic event of thousands of years ago, the birth of Christ, that we must learn to embody its meaning in every single day that we live. We must make love real. And it's not some far-off event. It's not some story. It's not something that's going to happen in the future in some unknown situation. Divine love must be real here and now in everything we do, say, and think. It knows no other. This is what we have to realize in this season of Christmas. It's only as we bring it down to earth that this has meaning for us. Christ must be born in us. And the tradition is not enough. The tradition's been out here for thousands of years. It's not enough. The divine impregnation and the divine incarnation is something that is static. Is not something that is static. It is something that is real. And it's real now. And so, to continue into the story, I invite you to go within. Go deep within yourself in this season of love. And breathe. There was a promise and a hope that there would be one who would come. One who would show the way. One who would be a light in the darkness. Who would be inseparable from God. And by their very being would express the truth of human existence. This is who you are. It has been foretold from times of old that there would be a child born who, by their very nature, would bring love to this world and love to all whom they encountered. This is what you are. The world yearned for their coming, the birth of a child, the fulfilled promise, for indeed it has come to pass that a child has been born. You. A holy child. A child filled with knowing. A child filled with love and understanding. One worthy to inherit their Creator's kingdom on this earth. One whom, by their very nature, would bring peace. One whom, by their very being, would bring love. And by their very existence would bring understanding of who they truly are and what they truly are. This is who you came here to be. And so it came to pass in the perfection and fulfillment of time, this child was announced by the angels of heaven. The fulfilled promise has come, for God has become humanity. Just as heaven sang on the day of your birth, and sings today as you remember who and what you are. And by every thought, word, and deed, you bring the relationship of the individual to the universal. You are the one to testify to love. You bring divine love to this world and love to all whom you encounter. May this be so. And so it is.